everyone. Welcome to this session of web development with ASP.NET. The points of discussions are web development with ASP.NET. ASP.NET it's a web application framework developed by Microsoft. It has a built-in web server called IIS, the Internet Information Services. Recall, web applications are based on client-server model. On the server side, we require a web server, which is basically a software to host web applications. For ASP.NET applications, we will be using IIS. ASP.NET is an application framework which can use multiple languages like C#.NET, Visual Basic.NET, or even you can use F#.NET. So basically the conclusion is ASP.NET it's a web application framework and the language used to develop a dynamic and interactive website could be either C#.NET, Visual Basic.NET, or F#.NET. ASP.NET is actually a server-side technology that works or operates on the server side. It helps developers to develop dynamic and interactive websites that runs on web servers before actually sending the contents to the user web clients or browsers, which actually displays the dynamic web page in the client browser window. ASP.NET applications are executed on the common language runtime. As we all know, we have just discussed that ASP.NET is basically a framework which can either use C#.NET, Visual Basic.NET, or even F#.NET. So all these languages are compiled with the common language runtime. ASP.NET applications are designed to be scalable. It means it is capable of handling high traffic and demanding applications. It also provides a consistent and a manageable environment for code execution, memory management, and security. It is used for building dynamic, interactive, and robust web applications, websites, and web services. Visual Studio.NET. It's a product from Microsoft. It is basically a IDE, the Integrated Development Environment. It helps the developer not only to design, develop, test, and even debug a .NET application. It is not only used for developing and testing web applications, at the same time one can test and develop console as well as Windows application. Developing a dynamic and an interactive website. The steps required to develop a dynamic website are as follows. First of all, start or launch Visual Studio.NET. Then create a ASP.NET Web Form application with C#.NET as the language. Then to create the two-page website to generate the table for the accepted number, add web form called tablegenerator.aspx. It's a web form which will be used to accept and validate a number whose table is to be generated. Design the web page to accept and validate the number, add a button and write the code and then test the developed application in Visual Studio.NET. So before actually developing application, the conclusion is Visual Studio.NET, it's the IDE, the integrated development environment for developing .NET applications. Visual Studio.NET, being a complete development environment, has a built-in web server called IIS, the Internet Information Service. It is used to host a .NET web application. Developing ASP.NET web application with Visual Studio.NET. Let's now launch Visual Studio.NET. I'm using Visual Studio.NET 2022. Once the studio is launched, select Create a new project. Then from the project templates, we need to select ASP.NET Web Form Application, and the language to be selected will be C#.NET. So here is ASP.NET Web Application .NET Framework, and the language selected is C#.NET. Once the selection is done, click on the Next button. Now give a suitable name to your application. For example, for this demonstration, we give test site as the name, and we will be using the .NET Framework 4.8.1. And from here we can select the path where this application will be created on your system. Now click on the create button and just ensure that the web forms application is selected. We can either develop a MVC based application or a single page application, but for this demonstration web forms will be selected. And now click on the create button. Once this is done, just wait for some time. A default application with a home page, about page, and a contact us page will be created. As you can see, the selected application type is ASP.NET Web Form Application, and here is Visual Studio.NET with the application created. Visual Studio.NET creates a basic structure for the web application under development. we can just rebuild and test for errors, and as you can see, it's a success. Your application has been successfully created in Visual Studio.NET. Now let us run and test the application created by Visual Studio.NET. And since it's a web application, so it is browsable and it will be displayed in a browser window. Just wait for some time for the application home page to be displayed on the screen. This is the home page of the application developed, and as you can see, in addition, the home, about and contact us page also has been developed and added to the menu option. Now let us work and create the table generation application. And this is the site, that is the master page of the application, which ensures that all the pages or the web forms of the application will have a same look and feel. That is, the header and the footer will appear on each of the pages or the web forms of the website. Just right click on the application, and now to select and add a web page for creating the table generation web page. And the requirement here is to add a web page which will accept a number from the user, and it will also ensure at the same time that the page is validated. Right click, and from there click on add option and the new item, and from there you can see the web form and the web form with master page. So we'll select the option web form with master page. Let's give the page as the name table generator page. Then select the master page for the page under development. This master page is actually generated by Visual Studio.NET and it can be customized to user requirements. This web form has two views, source and the design. The user can either work in the source or the design view, but it's better to work in the design view to design the page, to accept a number, to validate a number with a button, and clicking on that button will generate a dynamic page, that is the table of the accepted number. This component is actually called as the properties window. Recall all these components, that is ASP.NET web controls like labels, buttons, are basically objects of their respective classes, and properties are nothing but the fields of the class which decides the look and feel of these components. For example, the text and the font property of the label decides what caption will appear against the button, and what will be its font and color. And in this way, we design page as per our requirement. A text box and a label is added to the web form. The job of text box is to accept the number from the user. Again, using the properties window, we customize this look and feel of these controls on the web form. Now, just to ensure that the user enters a number, the user cannot leave the number text box as blank. We use ASP.NET validation controls. And out of these validation controls, the required field validator control is used here just to ensure that user cannot leave the text box blank. The two important properties are error message, which displays the message when validation fails. And the next important property of the validation control is control to validate. For example, in this website, the control to be validated is the contents of the text box 1, which will be used to accept the number. Then to provide the action, we will use a button, and clicking on this button will send the accepted number to the server. The table will be generated of the accepted number, and the updated page HTML will be sent as a response to the client browser, which will interpret the HTML and display the page. We just customize the look and feel of the button. In addition to this button, we will use one more label, and by setting the text property of this label, the generated table will be displayed on the web page. The code to generate the table is ready in C#.NET. We will just take that code and copy it to the click event of the button on the web form. To add the code, just double click on the generate table button. And as you can see, this will open the code window. Just double click on the generate table button, and as you can see, the button 1 click event is added to the code window, where the code to generate the table will be written. I have already developed the code, so I copy it from here and paste it in the button 1 click event. It just tests whether text box 1 is empty or not. If it is not empty, it will just go and generate the table. And to use this page, we add the additional menu option on the master page I've just copied the contact code and there I've replaced with the page table generator.spx, and this is the caption which will appear on the menu. And your website is ready. We will just compile it to check for errors. That's great. It's a success. No error. Succeeded. And now just to check your application, we will test it. And to test it, we are going to run the application. And as you can see here, the table generator page in the Solution Explorer window, which shows the different components of the website under development. And now we test the application. This opens the browser window to run the application. As you can see, it directly shows the table generator, but instead I want to see the home page. So I just change it to Site Master and then run it again. And the application home page, as you can see in the menu, the table generator option has been added and it is getting displayed there. Just clicking on that will display the page. And as you can see, if you click on the button without entering a number, the validation control checks it and displays the error message, and clicking on button generates the table and displays the table on the web form. If you change the number, immediately the contents of the web page will change. So each time a button is clicked, the accepted number is sent to server that executes the click event of the button and generates the new page and sends its HTML to browser, which interprets and displays the page in the browser window. Every time the entered number is changed, its table will be generated and displayed. Thanks for watching this video. See you in the next video of web development.